Hi everyone, my name's Evan Mattingly. I am going to make this video real fast just while I'm out here on the lake. It's kind of a walk around on my boat. It's a Lowe 1860 center console. And the reason I'm making this is when I was looking to buy this, I kind of had an idea of what I wanted exactly. But I had a really hard time finding videos or even pictures of the boat without people just highlighting the good parts, I guess. So I'm gonna give you a real quick walk around of this and kind of point out some things I like about it, some things I don't like about it, and then briefly show you a couple of the systems I've got set up that I added onto the boat afterwards to kind of make it more user-friendly. I'll probably make another video in the near future about the trolling motor system because it's pretty neat. I'm pretty satisfied with how that turned out, but yeah, let's check it out. With the center console, you get the console there in the middle with your throttle and your steering wheel and all that kind of guidance stuff. You've got a Helix 5 from Humminbird mounted right there, and a little basket just to throw baits and stuff in. Works out real well. I did tint the windshield myself just to keep the stuff here from getting so hot. That may sound stupid to a lot of you, and it did to me when someone suggested it to me a couple years ago when I first bought this, but then I had enough baits melt in my basket and figured, well, let's give that a try. So we'll see how that works out this summer. That's a pretty new thing. Step over here. So down here you've got a little utility basket that I added on there just real cheap from Amazon. There's another one up there towards the front I'll show you in a second. Just to give you a cup holder and a little more storage there. Under here you've got, let's see, the batteries and all. We've got 3 batteries under there. I know that one back there is kind of hard to see. Got a big one for the trolling motor, and then each of the fish finders and depth finders have their own individual battery. I know that's not really necessary, but it's more of a longevity thing than anything. If I take a trip or whatever, I want to be able to use my depth finders for quite some time without having to worry about the battery running out. So I've also added a couple of these little, I guess you'd call them cup holders. They're really not much. They barely hold the Gatorade bottle up, but that's another good thing just to have on there to give you somewhere to put your drinks and stuff. So if you walk towards the front here, you've got your live well in here. Open that for you. It does come with a divider. I personally don't like how that works. If you're trying to keep bait fish separately from, your catch, it doesn't really fit tight enough to actually do that effectively. You do get an aerator, all that kind of good stuff built in, standard, so you don't have to go install that afterwards. It's all lovely and nice. You do have that other box there that I was telling you about, little for your storage there, and then another cup holder. You do get under seat storage here. That's just kind of good for whatever you want to throw in there or throw in there. It's a pretty large space, so you could really fit a lot of stuff in there. I could probably fit my entire tackle box in there. I just prefer to leave it out, but that's not important. You've got rod holders built in from the factory right there. Those are the only rod holders that you were given from the factory. I added these here on this side just to give myself some more storage for like ultralights and stuff. So you've got a storage compartment here that runs all the way over to this side. Trying to give you a better view of that from the front here. It's a really wide and really deep storage compartment, so you could probably fit all your life jackets and all that kind of good stuff you want to put in there. I keep an anchor in there, although I don't need one with this trolling motor, which like I said I'll go into. But I have that mounted on there with a quick release in case I ever wanted to take it off for duck hunting or whatever. Kind of gets in the way sometimes. I've got a Piranha Max, just a real cheap Humminbird depth finder up here that I like pretty well. I usually sit towards the back of the boat anyway, just because it gives me the ability to watch over my motor and make sure we don't bottom out that. So if you come back here, kind of did this in reverse order, gas. Obviously, I always burn ethanol-free gasoline in it, which is kind of a pain because there's only one place within like 30 minutes of me that sells it. But it's just kind of worth it to me to make sure I don't have to put a lot of money into this down the road. So I didn't really have any specific engine I was looking for when I bought this. I was just kind of wanting something with enough power so that I wouldn't be putting along down the lake. But they come optional, I believe, with a 40, 60, or 90 horsepower Mercury 4-stroke engine. This is the 60. It's kind of the middle of the road. It works out beautifully for me. I don't know how much you should trust the speedometer on the Helix 5 there, but it will say that I'm going about 30 miles per hour or so, wide open, which, I mean, that's plenty for me. I'm not doing anything that would require any more than that. Something that I've added really easily that you can do as well, should it interest you, is I threw a couple of crates, just regular milk crates down here. They're secured with a bungee. Show you the other side. And it works real well for stuff like your water box that you can keep paperwork in, whatever, for quick access. I keep my drinks and bait and stuff like that, equipment for the GoPro over there. It's good for, you know, a lot of things. Usually I don't have this seat here. It gets in the way of my rod holders that you can kind of see there. This is just for usually when I have 2 people on the boat, and you know, just trying to be accommodating as far as that goes. Under here, you can kind of see I've got a lot of wires going everywhere, because when I get home, I make a point of charging all of the batteries. So the trolling motor, which again I'll go into later, uses a tremendous amount of power because it's my anchor, it's my obviously trolling motor, and it's pretty much in use from the time the boat gets in the water to the time it comes out of the water. So it has to be charged after every use. The fish finders aren't too bad. You can get away with a couple days of use on those without charging them, but just to be safe, they all have battery tender attachments back here at the back. So when I get home, I have 4 different battery tenders, plug them all into their respective things, whatever they are. Obviously we have a bigger one for the battery for the trolling motor than we do for the Helix and the Max and the engine starting battery there. That doesn't really get much use. We do have a 19-gallon fuel tank down there as well. I try and always keep that full. Like I said, it's kind of a pain burning the ethanol free, but in the long run I think it will pay off for me. I really don't think there's much else that you guys could want to see about this. You do have position light output there and one on the front, but I think that's really all. So I will throw in some footage after this of the boat just cruising down the water wide open, and then I'll get some footage outside as well to show you some of the drains and all that kind of stuff. All right guys, got the motor up. Let's go. Okay guys, so like I said, the last part of the video is going to be a walk around of the whole deal, setup, trailer, boat, motor and all. We'll do kind of the trailer first. Obviously it's a single axle. I don't think you can get a double axle till you get to the 20-foot model of this boat, even optional. Personally, the single axle is fine with me. It doesn't give me any problems pulling or anything like that. It does have LED lights all around, tail lights, turn signals, and then you've got little marker safety lights on the sides and all that. Caravan is the maker of the trailer. They do all come with a breakaway folding tongue there, and a fold-up jack, which really help for storing it in a garage or somewhere like that. I know with the tongue, folded in, I have about 2 inches of clearance between, you can see the trolling motor there is pretty lined up with that, so I have about 2 inches of clearance between that and my garage door. So it's a tight fit, but having that is a real big benefit for me. Like I said, we'll go over the trolling motor in another video all on its own, but it is detachable. I step over here. So this side, you can pull a pin, this slides out and the whole thing just lifts up and disconnects if you want to use that on another boat, or just remove it all completely. Like I said, I duck off this and it's really in the way for that, so good to be able to take that off. Let's see, like I said, hold up jack there is nice and helpful. You've got the Piranha Max that I was telling you about here. Always keep it covered, but that's there. I just mounted 2 more rod holders up here on the front just for convenience and stuff. Like I told you earlier in the video, we've got the underseat kind of flow through storage there, live well here. You do have the drain plug for the live well directly next to it on the bottom of the boat there. That's both the drain for the standard drain and the overflow comes out there, so that's good to know. Over there you've got your rod holders. That's your rear navigation light. The bright white light is stored over there. The front one, the red and green, is in the front storage there. It's got a standard mount built in for it. Walk back, like I said, the seat folds up. You've got all that storage down there. Fire extinguisher is mounted there from the factory. It doesn't get in the way. It's pretty well lined up with the bar there, so you're not hitting it inadvertently and all that kind of stuff. They all do come with spare tires mounted on the trailer, standard. The Waterworks deal is where mine came from. I had to drive like 8 hours to get this boat to Chicago, and I live in central Kentucky, so that was a long trip, but they made it worth my while. I got a fantastic deal on this boat, so I'm sure they wouldn't mind me throwing a shout out to them. You do get guides, again standard. Most of the time I use that for kind of a perceptive how far to back up kind of deal. Usually when this little knob here is sticking up out of the water, you're in far enough for it to go on without any trouble, and then that way you also got a visual to kind of help you line up if the water's murky or whatever. Your foot bar on the seat folds up and down. Like I said earlier, the batteries that are under there's 3 of them. They obviously, none of that was included in this. I'm sure the dealer would be happy to install all that kind of stuff for you, but I wanted to do all this myself, just so I knew what was going on and all that. You've got 3 switches over there on the other side, which I'll go talk about, then we'll come back here to the back. So the switches over here are your navigation lights, bilge pump, and then your aerator pump for the live well. The aerator pump takes some getting used to. You kind of got to dial it in to the proper amount of outflow, because it will overflow right off the side here into the boat if you don't have, or if you have too much water coming out at once, which really sucks. That's happened a couple times. Will never happen again. Anyway, fuel, pretty standard, what you expected of a fuel thing. 2 more rod holders I mounted back here. Again, they weren't on there, they're just from Academy Sports. I went, bought them, threw them on. pretty simple. Back here, you've got your regular drain plug for the entire boat, intake for the aerator. Then I have two transducers, separate, one for each, my Helix 5 and my Piranha Max up there. Do have power trim on the Mercury 4-stroke there. Again, like I said, it's the 60 horsepower, which is the middle of the road model for this. It's really all that comes standard again with the Spitfire 4-blade propeller. Again, never really gives me any issues at all. I guess the last thing would be just kind of a real wide walk around of the whole thing, just to kind of give you guys a visual. Again, it's about 18 feet long, hence the 1860. But yeah, overall, like I said, I knew I wanted this boat specifically for a long time, and it took me driving to Chicago to get it, but I got it, and I'm very, very happy with it. Oh, one more thing. So you've got your trim control for the boat. For those of you who've never owned one, might not know this, but it's pretty common. You've got trim control there for the engine, and then trim control on the throttle as well. Obviously for while you're riding versus loading and doing the transom saver kind of deal. So that's all. Like I said, if you have any questions or anything that I didn't answer throughout the video, feel free to leave a comment. Message me, whatever you want to do, and I will get back to you. Thanks. Bye.